morning. Welcome to Sacred Enzyme. I'm Stacy. I hope you're doing well today. It is a nice breezy morning here in Florida, and we're going to be doing some work on the seed bank today. But I wanted to take a minute this morning, and I wanted to talk to you about some of the things I've been learning so far in the Melchizedek cloister emerald. It's a tongue twister. Emerald order. Because I promised that I was going to be sharing all of this information with you. I'm having to pay for it, but and I can't show the materials because of copyright reasons, but I'm going to share all this stuff with you because I feel like all of these things need to be public knowledge. We all need to know, we all need to understand, and if you have the ability to understand it, then you will, and if you don't, you won't. So I really don't feel the need for gatekeeping information because I think it's our duty as humans to help each other. So I've been thinking, I was born on the 28th day, and I've been thinking a lot about the number 28 because the number 28 is an interesting number. And a long time ago, like one of the first videos I did, I was talking about a book that I was reading about The Electric Universe by Frank Wilczek. And it's basically about quantum physics. And he stated in his book that the number of atoms in the human body was 28 to the 10th power, and which is 28 with 10 zeros behind it. Okay. But the one thing that struck me as interesting in these teachings that I've learned is, and I have my lampshade cone that had all of the dimensions mapped out, and that there are 5 dimensions, and there are 3 levels in each dimension, like plates stacked up on top of each other, like a cone turned upside down. And that in the Bible, and as they talk about 144,000 souls, and especially the Jehovah's Witness. The Jehovah's Witnesses have bits and pieces of this quantum physics material in there, and they don't really even realize it. I mean, they think that there's only 144,000 souls that's going to heaven, and that you have to worship Jehovah. But that's not quite true. The fact is that what happens is these creator beings, archangels is what we call them, they came from God, and then they fractured themselves out. They started at 1, and they became 144,000 souls on this planet in these bodies here. So I was thinking this morning, I keep getting this 144,000. So if you do the math and you divide 5 dimensions into 144, you get 28.8. So that is very interesting in my opinion. So we're basically angelic human beings that are here on this planet, and we're stuck in a time matrix right now because we've been brainwashed. And this brainwashing is so intense and deep that we don't even realize what we are. Well, some people do. I mean, a lot of these indigo kids and kids with autism and stuff that they can't communicate because they have such a highly charged vagal nerve, and then they're being born into families where there might be a problem with the gut microbe, and it all goes back to parasites, truthfully, if you ask me, because anything that has to use a host to survive on is a parasite. And so with the damaging of our gut bacteria, it creates problems in vitro with children being born. And so if you do the math, 28 is an interesting number. 28 is an interesting number, and so is 11. 11. We talked about 11. Meaning masculine and female, just like the masculine and feminine, just like the Temple of Solomon. So we are angelic human beings that are here. We're guardians of the stargates that are on our planet. Our stargates have been closed off for quite some time, and there's so many people that are on this planet right now because the stargates opened. The stargates were opening, and a lot of stuff really started happening in 2012 when everybody thought the world might end because the Mayan calendar stopped at 2012. Well, it was because in 2012 there was things happening. It was things that we couldn't see that was happening. We have opening of stargates, and matter of fact, the the last one to open is the first one to close. And so the one that's in Peru already closed. And right now, the Stargate that's next to close is in Russia. And so, you know what we got going on in Russia, right? So if you're not convinced by now that it's all about Stargates, I don't know what to tell you, because Siesta Key, Stargate there that connects to Jerusalem. We've got the black cube of stuff going on around Temple Mount, where you have the Dome of the Rock, and then you have all of these people that go there and walk around in a circle around that black cube. Okay, that's black cube. That's, I don't want to say anything that's too controversial that's going to upset anybody, but sometimes the truth hurts, folks. That's the black cube matrix. And we're not, we're not here to serve the black cube matrix. We're here to serve divine source and to do our work here, manage these stargates, and get everybody back to heaven where we're supposed to be. And that's your job. That's your job here as a human, is to be a steward to the planet. And folks, we got to step into our purpose and make this happen. But I don't want to be long on here, but the 28th day is coming up. And on the 28th of every year, there's always some type of death, major death or occurrence that happens on the 28th day of October. And it's not a coincidence that there's a power in the number 28. It really is. And you can go back and look through history and see what celebrity or what person died or had an accident or something on the 28th day of October. And I guarantee you, on the 28th day this month, I'm going to go ahead and lay my prediction out, because I already know what's going to happen. There'll be someone, a major, what people would consider important, or celebrity or something like that, that'll get sacrificed on the 28th day. They all have their turn in the barrel. When you offer yourself up to the Luciferian movement, of the Dark Cube, the Matrix universe, the Phantom Matrix, you have to give. Just like these people that they offer themselves up and they sell their souls, they have to offer something up for these favors, and usually they have to give away someone that's in their family that they love. They have to feed these lower dimensional beings that are in the Phantom Matrix for favors, because these lower dimensional beings that are existing in this Phantom Matrix is because they want to separate themselves from Source. They don't want to have to go back. They don't want to go back. They like it here. It's a big party. And so they want to stay here. But this is not where they're intended to be. And so you have this situation where you do have these lower dimensional beings that want to return back to Source. And so what ends up happening is they have this thing, it's called a... what's the term? There's a term for it. Well, anyway, they have to be hosted in an angelic human body. And because we don't know that we're that we come from absolute and that we're angelic humans, a lot of people don't realize that they're called host matrix. They don't realize that they're hosting a secondary lower dimensional energy in their body. And this lower dimensional spirit energy or soul energy has to be subservient to the angelic soul energy that's inhabiting the form, because they have to go up, they have to be elevated. And see, we make all these contracts before we come into these lifetimes, and so we just forget because our brain has been wiped. And a lot of that has to do with the morphinogenic field manipulation and the reverse Merkaba. These reverse Merkaba teachings that are going on all over the planet, where most of our DNA strands are not active. So the question is that, are you guys willing to do what it takes to activate your DNA? Because I'm learning, and it's a real big process. And so there are these things that's called fire letters. And I keep going back to the Tower of Babel in my head and thinking, the Tower of Babel was a really significant event. And the Tower of Babel is when all of the languages were scrambled. And I ran across, oh, yeah, I did. I brought it in here. I ran across this yesterday in my book because I did a video on how they had found Atlantis and they'd found Tartaria. And there are these two images. And one of them was these concentric circles that I showed. But the other one was this that they found when they excavated Tartessos in southern Spain. And you see this is like some unknown language. These are fire letters. See, this is the way that we used to speak. We used to speak in what's called fire letters. And fire letters are basically the angelic language. And they're a series of small, like 2-letter and 3- and 4-letter words. And they're more like sounds because, as we talked about, God spoke the universe into existence, right? He is I am. But there's breath that comes in these fire words. And these are manifestation words because back then they had a bicameral mind. They were directly connected with source. And so they spoke this language. So when the earth grid was captured, when Lucifer rebelled, they captured the earth grid. They broke the bicameral mind with the angelic humans that were on earth. And they scrambled all of their languages. Now, if you know anything about the Hebrew religion, you'll know that if you ever go to read one of their books, that it's all written from right to left. They don't read from left to right, but we do. And I've thought about that a lot. And I'm thinking, why would they read completely opposite way than we do, right? And why is the United States on the decimal system that they're on, and why do they use the math here for, you know, like we go miles per hour, we don't use kilometers, we use cups, we don't use grams, you know, everything in the United States is completely opposite than the rest of the world. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that because the United States is basically like the Roman Empire. It's a continuation of the Roman Empire. And we know that, you know, from going along on this path that was the civilization that basically squashed out a lot of these old religions with force. And so it all goes back to the fire letters. And we have to also look at the symbols and the seals. And it's like, you know, all of these archangels have symbols and seals that go with them. And I don't know if you've ever watched the show on the CW called Supernatural, but all of these angels have sigils. Okay, there's a reason for those sigils. Just like in the architecture of all of these old world buildings, there's symbols all on them, and there's these design patterns in the windows, just like Mandela type things. Okay, those are all psychologically registered in the human brain because we're programmed to speak fire letters. And we're programmed to understand symbols at a soul level. You know, you may look at something and not realize it, but that's why it's so important to be in nature because these symbols are all incorporated in nature, like in a flower, like in a shell, like in a honeycomb. It's so many things have these symbols, shapes that are all about frequency and vibration. And so fire letters, I'm learning these fire letters in these teachings. You have to learn these fire words, and they're very short sentences. And the interesting thing about them is they all have to be recited 3 times. 3 times, like 3 times the charm, like the Holy Trinity. You know, it's no coincidence, folks. It's no coincidence. Just like when I had that demon thing that was attacking me, when I told him the power of Christ compelled you, as soon as I said that the 3rd time, that huge hand came through my roof and pulled it off of me. So everything has to be said in times of 3 and 3 times. And if you go back and you know, you can even go online and you can listen to like Native Americans and their language and how they do these dances and these singing and things. All this stuff is fire letters and energy. And see, we have to go back to that. I know that a lot of people that are not really deep into this, they'll run across some of this stuff and they'll be like, oh, these people just sound absolutely crazy. And of course, you've been programmed to think that. You've been programmed to think that, that there's no such thing as light language, that this stuff is not real, that it's just made up. It's not. It's not. It's all about the frequency that's in the fire words. And so there are symbols and shapes and things that you have to meditate, and seals, and then you have to recite these fire letters, these fire words. And these are all connected to constellations, the constellations that we were seeded from these original creator beings, these founder races that are AKA archangels, creator angels, that are from the 15th, 14th, and 13th dimension. They're the Brahma, the Seraphi, and the Elohai. Elohai, like you get Elohim. They come from the Elohai, which is the 13th dimension. It's the primal light field. It's one step down from the absolute space. So we are going to learn these symbols, these seals, and these fire letters together. And we're going to take each set of fire letters that has a specific purpose with a specific symbol. And I'm going to show you all how to speak these, how to learn these, and how to apply them. And what this does is it activates your dormant DNA strands that have been morphogenetically modified. But it also is going to be some work, because we're all very unhealthy. I mean, I'm a lot healthier than I was. And I'm going to print out today, I found a picture of me last year on my birthday, because my birthday's coming up. On my birthday, where I spent it with one of my besties that has the exact same birthday that I do. And we spend the day every year pretty much together on our birthday. And we had a picture last year of how sick I was last year. I mean, man, I was really unhealthy. And then I'm going to show you what I looked like 20 years ago when I was really, really unhealthy. I went from one extreme to the other. But, it starts with the diet and our nutrition. We've got to key in those very minor components. And if you are not able to control your diet because you have like a lot of cravings and stuff, you got to clean up your gut microbe. Because there's something in there that's changing your mind to make you hungry, to make you crave sugar, to make you crave, different things, make you crave meat. And there's a lot of trauma and things that are, if you crave like dense proteins, like a lot of meat and stuff like that, then you need to do root chakra work. You need to deal with childhood trauma events, because that is what makes you crave the dense proteins. It keeps you in your root, because until you deal with it, it doesn't get better. And if you crave a lot of sugar and things like that, that more than likely is a bad gut microbe, some types of parasites in your body. And you have to understand what the true definition of a parasite is. A parasite is something that's living off of you, just like people that have drug addictions and they crave drugs and they just can't seem to get off them. You don't know why. It's because they're either a host matrix that is carrying one of these lower dimensional beings that's trying to ascend, that is influencing them. And even there's some people that are born with 2 different types of DNA, and those are called chimeras, because they're born with 2 different beings in their body pretty much. But it's a host matrix. It's a host matrix body. And so we have to start looking at things completely different. We have to start looking at people that are in the throes of addiction, and, people that are homeless, and people that, are deemed crazy. There's a reason for all of this. Do you know that when they introduced parasites to rats in a lab setting, that these parasites were sexually attracted to cat urine? Yes, even people that are extremely promiscuous. It's there's science and energy behind all of that. So I'm hoping that my book today on parasites is coming, because it's full of different studies on parasites, because I just can't stress to you enough the downloads that I'm getting about how people got to clean up the gut. We got to clean up the gut. So with that, I'm going to end this video, because that's quite a big chunk of junk. in 20 minutes. But when you come and find me, I'll be here, because we're living in the past, present, and the future all at the same time. So don't forget to get outside. Take your feet and put them in the grass and sit in the sun, because you're getting all kinds of downloads from the sun. The sun, we have the sun for a reason. They worship the sun for a reason in antiquity. And it's because you're getting all kind of DNA downloads and upgrades and information from the sun. You gotta go outside. People that get melanoma, the studies on that have shown that more people that get melanoma, you know, they say, oh, I shouldn't be in the sun because I'm prone to melanoma. It's from not being in the sun that you get melanoma. That's what I'm reading. So anyway, I'm glad that you spent this time with me this morning, and I want you to have a great day. And don't forget to set your intentions. Say, this is going to be a beautiful day today, and give thanks to our Heavenly Father and the Divine Mother, Mother Earth. So with that, I hope to catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching Sacred Enzyme. Bye-bye.